Hey, what's up guys, TechTime here and I'm back again with a brand new video. So before I begin this one, as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you do enjoy my videos, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Also make sure you subscribe to the channel. So with that being said, I decided to do this kind of fun comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A35 to the iPhone 16e. Now price wise, the Galaxy A35 starts at $399, that's the MSRP price point, and the iPhone 16e starts at $599. So a $200 price difference. Now I know these are two different worlds, Android and iOS. However, this should give you an idea of which one is truly budget and which one is not. So basically, let's look at what a budget phone is supposed to be, right? And depending on the price, there's a lot of different tiers as far as budget. There's a low tier, mid tier, and a high tier. And if you want to consider the iPhone 16e as a budget phone, then you gotta put it in the high tier because 600 bucks is very comparable to the Galaxy S24 FE, which is 649, and that's Samsung's budget, kind of high tier budget phone. Now, the Galaxy A35 sits in the mid tier. So it's slightly below the Galaxy A55, but it's also really slightly higher than the Galaxy A15 and the Galaxy A16. So from a design perspective, these two have similar material, but not quite the same. So as far as the back goes, both of these phones are made out of glass. However, the iPhone uses kind of a textured matte finish versus the glossy material that the Galaxy A35 uses. So we're going to talk about these cameras later on, but basically the iPhone 16e has a single camera setup versus the triple camera setup on the Galaxy A35. And the iPhone 16e does have a fusion camera, so it combines sort of two cameras in one, but more on the camera later on. If you look at the right hand side, the iPhone 16e has your power button. The Galaxy A35 has your volume up and down as well as the power button. But if you look at the way that they designed it, the A35 does have this indentation that leads up to the power button and volume up and down. The left hand side does have your volume up and down and your action button for the iPhone 16e, but both of these phones do have rounded corners, so they have that in common. However, the iPhone 16e is made out of aluminum versus the plastic on the Galaxy A35, but $399 versus $599. On the bottom of both of these phones, they actually have one thing that's crazy in common, which is USB-C. I bet you never heard that anyone would say that about iPhones, but this is the future that we live in. And they both also have the bottom-facing speaker. So from a speaker quality, the iPhone 16e is far superior to the Galaxy A35. However, the Galaxy A35 does provide faster charging speed. And essentially, that's basically the story behind the design. They're very similar as far as material of choice, other than the fact that the sides are made out of aluminum versus plastic on the A35. Now, if we look at the displays of both of these phones, then they're both OLED displays. One has smaller bezels than the other, and one is larger than the other. But also as far as like quality goes, I do have to say that the A35 has the better quality display, from a higher refresh rate to a brighter screen to smaller bezels and more uniform kind of bezel design. Yeah, the A35, in my opinion, wins the display department by a long shot. I mean, imagine having a $399 Android phone that has a 120 hertz refresh rate versus a phone that is $599 and only maxes out at 60 hertz and doesn't get as bright. But yeah, so from a display perspective, I think you'd be fine with both of these phones, but I do lean way more towards the A35 just because of the extra stuff that it provides. Brightness, smaller bezels, and higher refresh rate. As far as the performance goes, the iPhone 16e does have the A35 beat by a long shot. So I would say that the A18 on the iPhone 16e is just a well-rounded processor. It's the same processor that it uses for its regular iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus, and it's far more efficient. I'm not saying that the A35 is slow by any means. However, you have to keep standards. So the A35's efficiency is not as good as the iPhone 16e's efficiency. Even though the 16e does have a smaller battery, it does have a longer battery life in my experience, so it's way better. And performance-wise, it's crazy. When it comes to opening up like just daily tasks, then they're very similar. They're not I couldn't say that one is extremely faster than the other, but where you'll see that the iPhone 16 will shine is in Apple Intelligence and more GPU intensive tasks, and tasks that would require you to use more of the RAM and more of the actual CPU. But for the daily life, I think both of these phones are just as fast as each other, which is crazy. Okay, so now let's go ahead and circle back to the camera conversation. So from the camera perspective, the iPhone 16e only has a single sensor, but I guess they call it the fusion sensor, so it does have 1x and 2x zoom, and it is a 40 megapixel sensor versus the triple camera setup where you get a 50 megapixel main sensor, an ultra wide, as well as a macro sensor. That's all fun and all that you have a lot of cameras, but more cameras doesn't necessarily mean better pictures. And from a picture quality perspective, the iPhone 16e is just well-rounded. The colors look better in my opinion. They're a little bit more warm, but it's overall more balanced. And we can have a camera conversation all day long, but I can tell you that the iPhone 16e is just that much superior. Now, the big question becomes this. Would you rather spend $400 on a decent Galaxy device or spend $600 on an iPhone that is missing an ultra-wide, MagSafe, fast wireless charging, and a brighter screen? So the statement that I want to make to end this video is basically this. The Galaxy A35 gives you a lot more than the iPhone 16 does for the $600 price point. And you can, if you look at phones at $600, then you'll be stepping into something like a Galaxy S24 FE, which is the next comparison that I'll be making with the iPhone 16e to see how it stacks up, because I feel like it's way more competitive than the Galaxy A35. I just thought I would choose the A35 because it's that middle child, and it works pretty well for the most part. So with that being said, I want to know which phone would you guys pick? So leave it in the comments below. Also, I know the Galaxy A36 has been announced. Stay tuned. A video on that phone is coming really soon. So be subscribed, and I will catch you guys in the next one.